You mentioned OnlyFans. What's your take on OnlyFans? Because there's different ways to look at it if you're a female, right?
So I'll look at it like this. What's my take on, like, say, antibiotics? I know it's a weird analogy. It was like, go back to antibiotics. I think broad spectrum antibiotics in 1947. If you look at antibiotics in total, it saved so many people's lives. It's really amazing. But we've gotten to the point now where we're on the verge of possibly creating antibiotic-resistant strains of bacteria that could kill like millions and millions of people, right? We haven't got to that point yet, but when we do, then the question is, was antibiotics a good thing or was it a bad thing? And the answer, it was kind of both.
Yeah.
So if you're going to ask me in total, is it good for society and dating and the divorce and marriage market? No, OnlyFans is miserably bad. It's definitely not been good for that. It's definitely give a lot of people a lot of cope. And what's happened is there was the decontextualized images of sex that's in pornography. Those things, your husband was looking at those things and jerking off in the shower, and that was it. Mm-hmm. But what he wasn't doing was falling in love with the porn star. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Now guys are on Instagram or on OnlyFans paying for a girlfriend experience. So like legitimately the validation that your partner was looking for, you're giving it to another woman. It's like some women understand men have sexual urges, but like they might be in love with one woman but still have sexual urges. But in this case now, like I when I talk to these girls, like they're literally having relationships with these guys. They never meet them, but they're having relationships with these guys. So from that standpoint, I don't think it's helped. Now, from the standpoint of like when you consider if you lived in Colombia or Panama or someplace like that, and the standard of living is so outrageously low compared to the United States, and your options are for you to go there and either become a regular prostitute, try to get a job in a place where you're just not going to get hired or you just no economic opportunity because there's no middle class in those countries, or make $100,000 a month doing OnlyFans. Like, it's just, for girls here, they kind of have a decision. I see girls in like Romania and Colombia. I don't even know how that's not a decision. When you have a family that's starving and like that you can make like 70 G's a month, like what are you supposed to do? I just I don't know how. I was talking, I had Fresh and Fit on my show last night, and then I was Aaron Clary, Jake Shields, the MMA guy. We were all on the show with Rollo. And we were talking about this, and I was like, I can't imagine what I would be like as a man if I had 1,000 women a month offering me sex. What would that be like? 1,000 women a month just on there, just like, come out with me, come on dates with me, women offering me money to have sex. I would become intolerable. I think I would become intolerant. So, but I can't blame women for being the way they are sometimes. And then I can't imagine what would happen for me if I was like in a situation where, because I've seen girls that are surgical nurses, and some girls, I know one girl, she's an attorney, and they make so much money from OnlyFans that they stop their law practice and they stop practicing as surgical nurses because it's just so much more money. There was a guy, I believe he's drafted out of Florida, Michael Doliak. He played center for the Orlando Magic, and he was accepted into med school after his graduate degree or after his bachelor's degree. And he had a decision. Do I go to med school and become a surgeon, or do I play center in the NBA? And the reality is he went to go play center in the NBA because he's never going to make as much money.
Yep.
Right. And it's just, so that's just one of the situations where you see that humans are going to take the path of least resistance most of the time. So there's a third aspect of this, and that is the women who did live in this country who were being trafficked, and now they have the ability to like get out from underneath that. That's a good. Is it a common good for the entire country? I don't think so, but it is a good for those women for sure. Mm-hmm. So the answer is it's both. It's both. There is some good and then some bad. I will tell you though, as a man trying to find a woman to be with who's attractive, there's so much incentive for her to I'm not passing judgment here, but there's so much incentive for her to sexualize herself in order to make money and to network, that you as a man, you're having to share her in that instance. Like my girlfriend's a world champion bikini model. I don't mind that she posts bikini pictures. I like it. It doesn't bother me.
It's part of the
all.
brand.
She also finds women attractive. So like, it's kind of good. So so in that situation with her, it's one of those things, but she doesn't have an OnlyFans, and like, she's not having like private relationships with other people online. And I've seen some guys that are even fine with that. They're like, hey, girl, as long as you bring that money home, stay at home dudes, stay at home boyfriends, whatever, that take care of the dogs and the kids or whatever. We're just living in a different time. So the answer is it's both good and bad.
Yeah.
Right. That's the answer, is both good and bad. I've seen some, and I think for a lot of guys, they're very upset because they're working 9-to-5 jobs, not getting any validation from women, and they see some girl that like didn't even finish high school and she's making $1 million a month, and it bothers them a lot. I think it's where a lot of the animosity for it comes from. But I also do think it is wrecking relationships.
Yeah, you unpacked a lot of shit right there.
Yeah.
But I even look at it as simple as like, especially when you're like, let's say you're just like a normal dude trying to make it in whatever industry you're making it, whether it's like me as a podcaster, someone trying to make it as a lawyer, doctor, whatever, working 80 to 100 hours a week, just grinding for nothing starting out, and just watching someone who had like the God-given looks as a female, and you're just making like, I think it was Mandy Rose, former WWE superstar, made $500,000 in 1 week.
Yeah,
on like her first week on OnlyFans.
Yeah. I'm friends with several of these girls, and it's pretty common for them. They make $50,000 their first week.
Yeah,
that'd be a very common thing, and it just the incentivization to. The other thing that I've seen that happens often is girls who are in committed relationships and will go have sex with a male performer or a couple because they're going to get $80,000 from video sales. I've seen that happen especially here in Vegas, and it's just like you're incentivized. Also, women, some of these women choose their boyfriends based on whether or not they can perform with them on camera. So like they'll just like not have they won't even date certain guys. Like it's a question they have to ask themselves, and it's like, man, what in the world? Like it's for me, it would affect me because I wouldn't want to do that. And any woman who'd even consider that, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with. But I just see that there's a trickle-down effect. I don't think guys understand. It's like as more women take themselves out of this like viable dating market, there's just fewer women left to choose from. So I think that's what happens. And the other thing happens too with guys, like as guys become extremely high status, valuable, charismatic, wealthy, whatever, get themselves in shape or whatever, they start having so many more options with women, and then a lot of them will take themselves out. They'll still hook up with a bunch of girls, but they'll take themselves out of the serious dating market. So it can happen to both sides. What I've seen though more so is like it kind of feels like this to me. I can show the numbers that show this almost like empirically. There's 15% of guys who are crushing it financially with women. They just have their shit together. Women notice them immediately. They're always like, it's never a situation where they're getting passed over. If they ask a girl on a date, she's going to say yes. There's this top 15% of guys. Underneath those 15% of guys are all women, and underneath those women are the bottom 85% of men. And those bottom 85% of men are chasing those women, and those women are chasing those top 15% of guys. So when people talk about, concepts like a patriarchy or, or do men or women cheat more, the problem is you're talking about two different genders, but there's three different genders. There's high status men, there's women, and there's low status men. Those are three different genders. And high status men and low status men have nothing to do with each other. So when you say, do men cheat more? If you were to say, do high status men cheat more? The answer is yes. Do low status men cheat more? The answer is they don't cheat at all. Yeah. They have no options to. And so women can't differentiate the two because they see all men as one thing. The other thing is, you'll talk to a girl and she'll just consistently talk about being cheated on, dating a narcissist, whatever. And you go through her previous boyfriends, and it's just like, no one told you to date the bartender, the male stripper in the VIP house. You chose to do that. And now when I ask you about the crossing guard or the guy who's delivering mail, I remember this one video I saw one time. This guy was asking girls about like average guys. And so she says, so the guy points at this one dude. He goes, hey, what do you think about that guy over there? And she goes, which guy? It's like, that dude right there. She goes, what you talking about behind the mailman? And he goes, no, I'm talking about the mailman. Like in her mind, she could not conceive the mailman was a man. Does that make sense? He doesn't exist. And so that's kind of where it is. There's this 15% of men that women represent in their mind as all men. And there's the bottom 85% of men that they just don't even see. Do
you think that's all women? Or do you think that's just like the...
No, I think that effect is stronger with women who are hyperactive on social media.
Right. Yeah.
Do I think it's all women? No, I think it's when we're dealing like let's just say 20 to 40 years old in the dating market and single, of that group of women specifically, it's a extremely large number. And what's crazy to me is how many of them are unaware of what I just said. Like they legitimately think they see all people the same. Like just watch. Like they don't ask them. I walk into a room. And maybe this is just because I used to work in counterintelligence, but like I immediately know how many people are in the room. Like I sit facing the door and I can tell. And I remember what people look like. And if there was a crime that happened, I could give the police a full description. if you ask a woman like what our waiter looked like, they don't remember. If he wasn't cute, they don't remember what he looked
Right.
like. They don't remember his name. Like they just don't remember men who they don't find remarkable. And so what happens is the men they do find remarkable, they think that's all men. And so it becomes like this really strange phenomenon that happens.